Hey guys, this is Aziz and it is Tech Time. Today I'm going to show you a tutorial on the machine problem series, and this part is going to do a correction for words, and we're going to call it something like word correcting program. What's it going to do is right in here, the machine problem, and here we go. So the machine problem has a few things, and I'm not going to read this whole thing. If you want this file to start it on your own, you're going to have it in our website, nddevelopment.co. Other than that, we're going to look at the output, and I'll explain it to you as we go along. The word is being checked, so we're going to check a word which is the correct word, and we check it with whatever the user enters. User word is this, and we check it, and then we say, is it substitution, deletion, insertion, or a whole misspelling, or transposition. The understanding of that is deletion is having less letters, one less letter, like in here, compu, there is no u right in here, and inserted is having one extra letter, like in here, there's an X, we don't have X in computer. Transposition is having two letters put in the wrong position, like in here, COMP, instead it's written COPM, so the letters are not in the right position. Substitution is having one of the letters different, like this, it's supposed to be a T, but instead it's a D. Other than those errors, it's either going to be a correct or a complete mistake, a complete wrong word, which will call misspelling. Too bad to be a misspelling, and we're gonna have a correct word, which is the same word as the correct word. And we're also gonna have a counter of how many correct words, how many substitutions, transpositions, deletion, insertion, and the words that were way off. And we're gonna have more than one word to compare. So we're gonna display what is the correct word, then the rest of the words that the user enters when we check them. The way the file will be made is correct word first and then the rest of the words, and I'll go on it as we go along. So let's go ahead and minimize it and start our Visual Studio. Go to Start menu and type Visual. I'm gonna have Visual Studio 2010. Let's launch it, and here we go. New project, and let's go ahead and select empty project in Visual C++. Again, if you don't have it, it's going to be in other languages. So select empty project, and inside it I'm going to name it number 5. That's for organization. Just the name is word correction program, and let's press OK. Alright, now that we've pressed OK, we can have the solution explorer right in here. If you don't have it, you'll find it right around here, or you can go to View, Solution Explorer right here. So let's go ahead and press the arrow, and now we have source files. Right click, Add, New Item, and in the new item select C++ file, then go to Name and change the name. We're going to name it to main, and I'm trying to go as slow as possible with these kind of stuff, and gonna zoom in to make sure that everyone can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna do the zoom in to 180, and this is the zoom in box, by the way. If you want to have the numbers, you're gonna have to go to Tools, Options, and in the options, minimize this, go to Text Editor, and go to C++, C, and you have line numbers, and you can do word wrap. So okay. Alright, so now we're gonna start our program by creating the skeleton. So include IO stream, and we're gonna include files too, because we're gonna read from a file. So fstream, here it is, and we're also gonna include strings because we're gonna have to read strings. So let's go ahead and include strings. These are just normal things that you think of before you do a program, and let's do using namespace std. Alright, void main and a system pause, and I'm gonna go ahead and hide this right down because you don't need it. And let's see if we can zoom in a little bit more. That's 200. Alright, now let's go ahead and create our file right in here, resource files. Right click, add, new item, and the new item, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on text file and change the name. I'm gonna just name it input because I just named most of them input. So let's drag it and put it to the right here. Here it is. And I'm going to get the input, which is right here. Let's see if it copies. Let's paste it right here. Alright, here's the input, and I'm gonna have this file ready for you on the website also. If you want to just copy it, it's gonna be hello and another hello with one extra O, hello with less one letter, which is just hell, HELOL for transposition, HELIO. This one is for transposition. This one is for substitution because there's an O, or actually this one is transposition. This one is substitution. That's correct. This one is an I, supposed to be an L, and this one is correct, and so on with the rest of them. So I'm just going to keep it on the side so you can look at it, and I'm going to go ahead and continue with the rest of this. Let's go ahead and start our program by doing the file streams. So let's go ahead and do if stream fn, open the file input.txt. Okay, now we've opened the file. Now let's check if it opens correctly. If not open, then cout there is an issue with the file, and put an end line, and then do system pause, and then do exit 0. Okay, so now we're gonna have to think about what do we do with the program. The program asks us to make an enum, and I've described enums on our website, and if you want to look at enums without having to go along in here, you can find it in indiedevelopment.co under tutorials, C++, and intro to C++, and you're gonna find one called enum, or you can just search enum, ENUM, or you can just tag along and see what how you use it. So let's make an enum right in here. Remember, it always has to be actually not in here, that's the wrong position. It has to be under std, but above main and above any function. It always has to be there. So let's go do enum, and I'm gonna name it type of error, which is to define what type of error do we have. And let's go ahead and initialize it to correct if the word is correct, if the word is a deletion, if the word is an insertion, if the word is substitution, and if the word is transposition, there we go, and if the word is an error. And let's close that. Alright, now I can just press enter right in here, and make sure that it fits in here so you can see it in a big letters. Alright, so here's what we have. So correct, deletion, insertion, substitution, transposition, and error. You don't have to make them capitals, but it's good to make them capitals so you know this is either an enum or a global variable. As a programmer, you should practice that just so you make sure that you're in the right spot. So in here we're gonna just call prototypes, and we're gonna do the prototypes right around here because we're gonna use functions. We're not gonna define everything in main from now on for these machine problems. So let's go ahead and continue the rest of our program, and let's make the variables right around here. And I'm just gonna comment this out. Opening file and variables right in here. Let's create the variables, and one of the variables that we need is to get this word. The first word, this is how the file is formatted. The first word is always correct word. This is correct, this is correct, this is correct. And the rest of them are user words after it. So we need to make a string and call 1 is correct word, so core word equal nothing, comma, then user word equal nothing, and that's it. That's the strings that we're gonna need. Other than that, we're gonna have to use the enum, and to use the enum inside main, we're gonna have to do type of error and call it we can call it the same name, or actually I don't think we can, so I'm gonna call it error type equal to whatever. You have to initialize it just like anything else, so I'm gonna do error. We're gonna initialize it to error at first, just like you do strings. You have to do type of error, then you give it a variable name right in here, and then you give it an initialization, which is one of these 6 things. So right in here, error. Other than that, we need to define one more thing, and one more thing of that has to do with the file, and the rest of it is going to be counters. The next thing we're going to do is a character, and we're going to call it space finder equal to space as usual, because that's how you initialize characters. The reason I call it space finder is the way this file is formatted. There's an interline right in here. You have to leave it so you can read the file right, and I'll explain why. Because you need to read all these words. So if you do file in like this, if you do file in core word, and then then you do file in user word, but how many times do you file in user word? You don't know how many user words do we have to search against, and if you keep doing that, then it will reach the end of the line, it will take the next string, and so on. So we never know which one is a correct word, which one is a wrong word. Therefore, we're going to search. If there is a space after it, then we can take another word. But when it reaches the end, there's no space after it. There's an end of line. So it will stop. Then we get a new correct word, and we search for spaces, and so on to continue. Okay, so let's go ahead and see that. And there will be an issue right in here because there are 2 spaces, not just 1 space. So I'll fix that as we go along. Alright, so now let's take that off. Now we have the char, the space finder, and we're also going to have integer and 6 counters as we have in the enum right in here. So let's make the counters. Deletion counter, so like that, del counter equals 0, and we're going to have insertion counter equals 0. We're going to have transposition counter equals 0, and let's put an enter and go on the next line, and sub counter for substitution equals 0, comma, and the next one is going to be what is it going to be with a C, correct counter. Alright, core counter equals 0, and then the next one is going to be a bad let's call it error counter equals 0. That's what we're going to call it. So okay, so now we're done with our variables. We can go ahead and continue with the rest of the code. So first thing first, the program needs us to say who is the program by, so cout, and we're going to call it word correction program by, and then your name right here. I'm going to name it in my name, Azam Aziz, and let's put an end line at the end, or actually let's put a dot right here, period, end line, and another end line, and that's it. So now we can start our first thing. So in here there's going to be processing, so we need to input a first word and put the correct word, so core word. Now after we've inputted the correct word, we need to check for is it the end of the file, so while not the end of the file, and this function is open and close parentheses, close that, and then open close brackets. So now we start, and if it's not the end of the file, then we just say something similar to this. Let me open the Word file, and something similar to this, starting new line. So I'm just going to copy that, and it's about 5 stars, then saying starting new line 5 stars, and right here let's display that, and let's put double quotes around it, and let's put an end line right here, or 2 of them. That's it. It's a very simple thing. You can look at it and type it, and I'm trying to wait so I make sure that you guys are typing with me. Let's go ahead and do cout, and before we do cout, let's take the semicolon away and we can just continue with that, and we're gonna do correct word is, and then we display core word, which is the correct word, and end line. Alright, now we're gonna get the character. We cannot do cn, we cannot do fn like this, space finder. It's better to do filein.get. So let's go ahead and do that. Filein.get, we are getting the space, so here it is, or space finder. So the next thing we get is a space finder, and then we check it. So let's go ahead and check it. While the space finder does not equal an end line, then we can go ahead and continue with our processing. Otherwise, then we do filein core word. The reason for that is because if the space finder is not an end line, if it is a space, that's what we mean. If it is a space, then do filein user word. That's what we're gonna do with it. And if it is an end line, so then we skip this, and then we get the new correct word right around here. If it is space, we get the next word, we get the next word, we get the next word. If it is an end line, then we skip it and go to the correct word. So let's go ahead and continue with this, and we already have initialized the result, so we don't need to not the result, what is it called right here, error type. We already made it an error, so we don't need to do that again right here. So let's go ahead and continue with the rest of our code. So now we need to display to the user right here, the user word is this. So let's go ahead and display that. Cout user word is, and just display user word like that, and then put an end line right around after it, just one end line for this one. And now we're gonna start doing our function. Every process is gonna be right in here. Let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna do the functions right in the bottom, as I mentioned before, and then do the prototypes right around here, because that just looks better and neater, and then you can see your programs and you don't have to go all the way down to find your main. It is right here. So let's go ahead and go down and start with our issues. So the first issue we're gonna face is one of the issues right in here. It's either an insertion or a deletion or something like that. But before that, I like to compact everything together, and what I'm gonna do is right here, void, and let's call the function find errors, and let's open it and close it, and close that. So there we go. So now what do we need to pass to find errors? We're gonna have to pass two things, or actually three things, not two things. We're gonna have to pass to it the string of correct word and the string of user word, because we're checking those two. But we also need to give a status of this is right or wrong. So we're gonna have to pass type of error, and we're gonna call it something like error type, as we did before right in here. Let's go back. We called it error type, so here we go. We call it error type in here too. So let's go ahead and continue right in here. So now, what do we need to compare? We need to compare the correct word with the user word. So if correct word is equal to don't forget that, if the correct word is equal to the user word, then it is correct, right? If they are equal, then they are equal. So the error type equals to correct. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now we're gonna work with that to display what it actually is, but we don't have to worry about that right now. So let's continue. Else if. Now what is the next issue? The next issue is gonna be about the size. We're gonna check the size. So let's go ahead and continue with that. Correct core word dot size, and I'll explain why in a second. Equal to user word dot size, and open close parenthesis 2 and close it, and there we go. So for this one, if we're checking, for example, right in here, let's see, substituted. The substitution, they are the same size. Computer and computer is the same size, so we need to look about this, the D. Or transposition is also the same size, so we need to look where did we make a mistake. So let's minimize that, and that's where we're gonna find it. In here we're gonna call another function, but just not yet. We're gonna also do else if. What if the correct word dot size is equal to user word dot size plus 1. For this one, we did plus 1 because what if the correct word is 5 letters, but the user word is 6 letters? That means the user word is longer than the correct word, which we're gonna check for. Instead, we're gonna check for is deletion in here. So let's do that function later on. So let's continue with it. Else if correct word dot size is equal to user word dot size minus 1. And this one we're gonna check for insertion in here, because the correct word size is gonna equal to the correct word to the user word size minus 1 letter, which means it's actually higher than it. So this one, if this one is a 5, this one is a 6, minus 1, it's 5, it means it has more letters. And if this one is correct word dot size, if it's 5, this one is a 4 plus 1, it's a 5, so it would 5 equal 5, but without the plus 1 it would be a 4. You can also do higher or equal to, or less or equal to, or just less or higher, but I did it this way just because I thought this one is a good way to do it. But we can also do it differently, as in correct word. This one is for insertion, so this one is less than the user word dot size. If the correct word is less than the user word, then there is an insertion. So we can do that too, or we can do this. Either way, there is a million ways of programming anything. So let's go ahead and fix this issue right here. What if they're both the same size? Then we need to check for a problem. So in here, we're gonna, before we do that actually, let's copy this line right here, right click, copy. This is the function head for find errors, and we're gonna make a prototype of it right in here, and the prototypes under before main. So just paste it and put a semicolon here. There it is. So let's go back on there, and for this error we're gonna check for substitution first. So let's do this right here. Void, it's a void function, is substitution, and open and close brackets right in here, and we're now gonna check for all the errors that have to do with substitution, and then if it's not substitution, it must be transpositioning. So we're gonna worry about that later on. What do we need to pass to substitution? Just like finding the error, you need to pass the words that you're comparing, which is correct word, comma, string, and you have user word, then you have comma, type of error, and we're gonna call it error type, and we're gonna go ahead and continue. Before I do that, actually, I have some issue right in here, and it is right here. I need to pass back the error type. Why do I need to pass back the error type? Because I'm gonna have to display it for another function later on. I could have done it later, but I didn't want to go every one line and change it, but it would have explained it better if I had waited. But now I want to make sure that you guys don't have to go back to every line and change it. Just make sure that you put this and sign for this function, find errors, and let's go ahead and put the and sign right in here and go back to the prototype, which is right here, put an and sign also. We're gonna have to pass it back and then say which error it is, and you'll understand later why. Put an and sign right here too. Okay. Now in here, in is substitution, we're gonna check every letter of it. So before we do that, we're gonna do string size type equal I, or not equal, just I equals 0. Or you can just do I. That's it. You don't have to do anything with that. The reason for that is, I explained it before, the string size type is because we're comparing with a string in a for loop, and you have to do that so it doesn't give you any issues, because strings are large and that's what you need to do with it. So for I equals 0, I is less than correct word dot size, and you do that because you don't want to compare more than the word size. You want to compare as long as it is, and I plus plus, and then go inside the for loop. The reason we do a for loop is because we're going to check every letter 0, 1, 2, 3 until the end of the correct word, and check which letter is wrong. So in here we're going to do if, so if correct word at position I right here does not equal the user word at position I, then just break, simply break. Do a break. The break, what is it gonna do is gonna get us out of the whole loop. When we get out of the whole loop, we're gonna check where we made a mistake. So to show you a better example in here, let's see one of these issues right in here. This one is gonna be a substitution. Right, this I, let me zoom into it to 100. Let me show you. This I right in here, if this one is correct to H, this one is correct to E, this one is correct to L, but this one is an I here and this one is an L here, so it means it's wrong, so we get out. When we get out, we do check for the I. So if correct word dot substring, and to explain substrings is substring, it takes it wherever you are to the end of the word, or however you want to manipulate it. Let's open it and do I plus 1 equal to user word dot substring, and I plus 1 also, and that should take care of it. Another parenthesis, there it is, and the error in here is going to be result, or error type equal substitution. There it is. Let me explain this now. The substring. This example, I'm going to comment it of which example, hello and hello. In this one, what's it going to do is the substring I plus 1. So let's say I is 0 now, H is equal to H. Now I is 1 and 1, but 1 is wrong, so when we catch it, now at I is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, so 0, 1, 2. So we're at L right now. The substring is going to take from position 0, 1, 2, from position 2 to the end of it. Is this equal to this? And it will check this with these three letters, or however it is. So it will check from the end. If this is equal to all these letters, then the error type is substitution because there's only one letter wrong. But if it's not equal, if these parts not equal, then we have a different issue, but we're going to take care of that later. So let's go ahead and continue. Now the next issue is we have hello and we have helli. What if it's the last position? We can't do substring because there are no letters after it. We cannot compare at I+1. That will give us out of bound error. So to take care of that, we have to check it differently. Let's go ahead and continue. Else if I is equal to correct word dot size -1, and the error type will be substitution. There it is. The reason we're comparing it like that is because what if I is the last letter? Now we all know that size will take a word like this one and it doesn't count from 0. It will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the I, when you look into a word, you see we're starting from 0 here. So it's actually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually 4. So if I is equal to 4, then we are actually in the last position. If we are, and we already checked these letters, they're correct. If we are just in the last position, that means only that letter is wrong, and it's actually a substitution. So let's go ahead and continue. Else, there is no other error other than that. If it's not a substitution, none of these, then we check for transposition right in here. Before we do that though, let's call a substitution, this one, inside correct word. And before we actually even do that, we need to make a prototype. So copy all this line, right click, copy, and go all the way to the top, and right under find errors prototype, above main, just paste it and semicolon. That's it. Okay, now go down, and where are we? Here. And here, if the sizes are equal, we need to check for substitution. Is substitution. Open it, and we're gonna have to pass correct word. We're gonna have to pass user word. We're gonna also have to pass error type. The error type that you're getting is you're getting it from here, from this function. So you pass the words that you pass through this function, whatever you name them here. So if you name it correct word like that, we're gonna have to change this. We're gonna have to change this too. So, but we didn't. We just named it core word. So we passed it here. Now it's gonna check it every time. So what if it is not a substitution? We need to do is transposition. So in here, put 2 enters, and we're gonna check for transposition right after it. So void, and just name it is transposition, and open and close parentheses, and open and close brackets. Now in here you need to pass the same things as we always do. String correct word, the word you're comparing, the word you're comparing it with, string user word, and you need to pass type of error, which is error type, and put an and sign right in here to pass it back, and then let's continue with the rest of it. Now to check for it, you need to just do the same thing as we did before. So you can just go up and copy this exact code right here. You can do right click, copy, and then let's go back in here and paste it, and you can just look at it as I'm going along to make sure that you copy it. It's a string size type, and then we check for which letter is wrong. When we find which letter is wrong, we need to check the first one. We're going to check error is going to be like this. There is the correct word and there is the wrong word, which is HELOL. So these 2 letters are wrong. We need to check what if it's the last 2 letters are wrong. We don't want to go out of bound again. If we go out of the size of the word size, we're going to have an error. So we don't want to have that. So let's go ahead and check it. So if I is equal to correct word dot size -2. Why -2? Because we cannot do -1. If we do -1, that means it's this letter, And this letter can't be transpositioned, because if we do this L, if there's an O, right, if there's a transposition, it can't be transpositioned because there's no letter after it. The only transposition that could happen is this, OL, the last two letters. So we need to do -1, -2, this letter. We're going to check for this one, which is the last error, which is the last possible transposition place for it. So once we see that, we need to check again if the rest of the word is correct or not. So to do that, we need to do this: if, and open it, then open another parenthesis, two parentheses right here. See that? Two parentheses. You check the correct word at I. If the letter at I for the correct word is equal to user word at I plus 1. There it is. Now why did I do that? Because if this letter at I, this is where we made the mistake. So we're checking at this number, because 0, 1, 2, 3. I is now 3. If this letter is wrong, then we check, is the correct word letter at I is equal to I plus 1 in here. So if this letter is correct to this letter, then we check and for the and sign, and we're going to open the parentheses right here. Actually, we need to close one right in here. So this one is a whole thing by itself, and we check. Now the next thing we're going to have to check is, again, correct word at position I, but this time plus 1, because we're comparing the O now. We're comparing I plus 1 with the I just by itself for the user word, equal, and close brackets, equal to user word at position I by itself, and close the parenthesis. For this one, this is close parenthesis. Now we need to close another one to close this whole thing, and you can see the colors are gray above it. So now let's go ahead and continue with it. Open and close the brackets. So to summarize again, if this letter, this L, is equal to I plus 1, this L, and this O is equal to this O, then it's actually transpositioning. So the error type would be transposition. Oh, I spelled this one. Type right here. Alright, now it's correct. And now we're going to need to check another one, another kind of error. The next error is going to look like this. Hello, just correct word. And the other one is HLELO. What this next condition is going to take care of is if it's not the last at the end, it's just anywhere in the word. So to check that, you do else if, because we have more, this is not just else, this is not the last condition, we do else if. So else if, now open two parentheses again, we need to check every letter of them. Else if correct word at I is equal to user word at I plus 1. This is the same thing. If this letter is equal to this letter, and close the parentheses once, and then now in here let's put the end actually in here, and let's go back and open the parentheses again, and if correct word at I plus 1 is equal to user word at just I by itself, and close the parentheses, then close the parentheses again, just the same condition as this one. You're checking this letter with this one with this one. It's just like an X kind of trying, X checking, and then if it is correct, then we check again. If correct word dot substring at I plus 2, and it's equal to user word dot substring at I, also I plus 2. Open close parentheses. The error type would be transposition. Okay, so let me explain on that just a little bit. There's an issue right here. We need another parenthesis because this one is not gray. There it is. Now let me explain on this a little bit. Now I is right here, 0, 1. It's on E, on the letter E, because we found that E does not equal L, and it stopped here. So 0, 1. Now 1 plus 2 is 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Because transposition takes two letters right here, we need to check the letters after them. That's what we need to check. That's what the substring is doing. So 0, 1, okay. 1 plus 2 is 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. There is 3. So 3 to the end is equal to 3 to the end of the next word. Yes, then it's an error type. Otherwise, else, the result or error type is equal to error. Now we have finished transpositioning. That's it, the end of it. And we need to just copy this whole thing, the header, and right click, copy, make a prototype for it. Let's go back to the left, and here it is. Put an enter and paste it right here. Right click, paste, put a semicolon, and go back and go all the way down. Now go back to the function. Now here is transpositioning. Where do we need to put it? We don't put it inside main, like in here, find errors. We don't put it in find errors. We check for substitution first. If it is not substitution, we go to the else, because the else, it doesn't have a last condition of error. If it's not substitution, then it may be transposition. So that's where we put it. So is transposition, open, and then put core word and user word and error type, just like any other function, the rest of them. And so now it's going to check substitution and then transposition. If it is not either of those, so if it will just tell you that the word is really bad, it's an error. So now we checked if they're the same size. Now we need to check what if the correct word is longer than the user word. What if it's that? Then we need to check for deletion. So let's go ahead and go all the way to the bottom, and now press 2 enters, and now we're gonna find is deletion. The deletion is when the user word has one letter less than the correct word. So go ahead and type void is deletion and do string core word string user word and type of error equal error, or no, not equal, error type. And in here make sure you put an and sign right here before error type and put an enter, open and close brackets. Here we go. Now in here we're gonna do for the is deletion as before, as we have done. You can just go ahead and copy this code right here, right click, copy, and paste it right in here, right click, paste. So we're gonna check again which letter is wrong, and then after we catch the wrong letter, we're gonna compare it. Now this example is gonna be hello and hell. We're gonna check for the last letter because we don't want to go out of bound for the user word also. If we do, we're gonna have an issue. So we're gonna check it. Is it really the last letter? And we're gonna do if I is equal to user word dot size, open close bracket, parentheses, then open close brackets, and in here if it is, then the error type is equal to deletion. Now let me explain on that why is it the case. Because in here I, now O does not equal nothing, so that's where the error came up. So when we get out, I is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 because O is at 4. Then we're gonna check if it's at 4, if I is actually equal to word user word dot size, and if it is, then it is the last letter, and that's where the error should just should stop, and it's going to be deletion. So now we check the next one. The next example is going to be hello, and right here HLLO. So it's a deletion right in the middle of the word or anywhere else. We don't care. It's not the end of the word. That's what we're gonna compare it with. So let's go ahead and continue with that. Else if correct word dot substring I plus 1 is equal to user word dot substring and at I. Let's actually let's close two parentheses, open close brackets, and type or error type is equal to deletion. Now I'll explain on that a little bit more. Because the error happened right in here, which is position 0, 1, at position 1. So at position 1 plus 1 is 2, so 0, 1, 2. So from L to LLO to the end is equal to the substring of the word, because the deletion might be in here, so we compare this with I plus 1, and if it is right, then the error is deletion. Else, if it's none of those, then it's an error. So we do error type equal error. And that's it for this function. I want to go back and explain on this again. Maybe I didn't explain it enough. What happens in here is I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this word, we're comparing from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know that the size counts from 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why I did it this way, because we don't need to do minus 1. If we do minus 1, it's going to say the size is 4, minus 1 is 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. This letter. No, we want to check for this one, next one. So the size is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I is going to be equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be 4 is equal to 4. That's it. The error type is deletion. I hope this explained it well. If it doesn't, ask me. Go ahead and ask me on indiedevelopment.co or my YouTube channel, and I'll help you with it. So let's go ahead and copy this prototype, the header, right click, copy, and go all the way up. There we go, right in here. Right click, paste, and semicolon. Alright, now next thing, we're gonna have to put it right in here. So right in here would be here is gonna be find error function, and inside else if correct word dot size is equal to correct word dot size plus 1. So in here we're gonna do is deletion, and we're gonna pass correct word, user word, and error type. That's it. Now the next one, what if it's an insertion? Then we make a next function. So go all the way to the bottom and do void is insertion, and as usual we do string core word, string user word, comma, and then we have in the end type of error type, and in here open and close. And now we're gonna just copy this right here again, right click, copy, and I could have made a function for this, but I didn't want to make it too complicated. But usually when you see something that keep repeating itself, use a function for it. But let's go ahead and write the function now. So after we check the error, which letter is wrong, we're gonna check for conditions. So the first condition is gonna be hello, and it's gonna be hello at the last one. So what if it's the last letter of the user word? We don't want to check for this word, for this letter, because it's gonna give us out of bound error. We don't want to do that again. So if I is equal to correct word dot size, and this is the same issue as having in here I is equal to user word dot size, but the opposite, I is equal to correct word dot size. And again, if I didn't explain it enough, please let me know. I'll try explain it again. So close the parenthesis, and now in here there is the error type is equal to insertion, Now I'll explain this in here. So if I is equal to user word dot size, the correct word is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5, but user word is counted from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the error happened right around here. So we're going to check it like that, and we find if it's the last letter that is going to be happening wrong, then we need to tell them it's insertion. So else if. Now we continue with the rest of it. Before I do else if, actually, let me just give an example as I have been. And here, hello, and this the wrong word would be like this: HEILOLLO. The rest of the word is right, but one of them just popped in, and like this, I instead of the L. So what we need to check is else if correct word dot substring at I is equal to user word dot substring at I plus 1, and close the parentheses again, and there we go. Now it's going to start. So the error type is going to be insertion. Alright, now let me explain on that again. The substring of correct word at I, so the error happened in here. So at I, from here to the end of it, is equal to user word I plus 1. Here's I, where is the error happened, L and I plus 1 is going to be right in the L, and from the rest of it. So if this is equal to this, then it's an insertion. And as usual, else, if it's none of those, then the word is too bad to be misspelled. Error type equals to error. Now we have finished this function also, so let's go ahead and copy the header. Right click, copy, go all the way up, and paste it right here. There it is. Put a semicolon, enter, and that's it. Now we need to go back and find errors function, and in the last else if, and here we're going to do is insertion and pass correct word, user word, and error type. Now we have finished with all of this. We don't have any other conditions to check, especially with this function find errors, because there is no possible other errors. I can't do else and then do something, because it's either equal to the size or higher or less than. It can't be any other thing, or correct, but it can be any other thing, so we don't need to do an else. Now we need to pass the function find errors right in here in main. So let's go ahead and find main, which is all the way up. Here is main, and I'm gonna go inside it, and right inside the while loop where we're looking for a space finder, we display the user word, and then in here we do the errors. So find errors and open it, then pass correct word, user word, and error type, and then put a semicolon at the end. But this is not going to display anything for us, so let's go ahead and run the program and I'll show you why. Debug, start without debugging, and here's what's going to happen. We have an issue with all of this. There's an issue with string, substring out of range. One of them was out of range, and I'll explain to you why that happened. I do issues in that with programs just so the students understand it better in college and classes, because I ran into these kind of issues and I wanted help with them, but this would help you. So let's go ahead and continue with it. See that user word doesn't tell me any errors about it, and for that we need to make a function. But before that we need to fix this error first. So let's go ahead and press abort, and let's stop it here. So to go back and fix this error, we're gonna have to go to is deletion. The reason I know that is because of this, and this is a good way to help you fix your issues. So let's go ahead and debug, start without debugging, and let's look at the error. See this error? User word is HELL. This is a deletion word because it has less words than here. That's how I know which function to look at. That's why we have functions, so it makes our life easier when we debug something. Let's go ahead and abort, and you can read the expression, the error, by looking at this. String substring out of range. That's how I know it's substring. It's out of range error. So abort. The reason for that is, for this deletion, it has to be not correct word. You're comparing with user word. And why we're comparing with user word is because the user word is the one with the less size, not the correct word. That's why we need to correct. We need to do user word, not correct word. So now the issue will be fixed. But now we have another issue, which I'll fix right now. But I kept it right now so you can look at it, and I'll fix it right away. So let's go ahead and debug. Start without debugging. Now let's see the issue. Here it is. This is an infinite loop, and it's going to keep running forever. Why did that happen? Let me close it, and let me put a dot right in here to show you. There's a dot, there's F5, and we're going to go slowly. Now the correct word is going to be hello. The wrong word, we're going to get it in a second. User word, there it is. We can keep going. Hello, HELIO. This is the last word, hello. And then now we're gonna keep F10. Now the next one, the correct word should change to computer, right? Look what's gonna happen. The user word changed to computer, but not the correct word. These two words are being compared now, and they're all gonna be wrong. Let's stop it right here, and let's take off this dot. The reason for that is because we never checked for another space again. This line, we need to copy it and put it at the end right here. That's it. That's it. We need to check for another space. Right in here, we need to check, is it a space? Okay, keep going. Is it a space? Keep going. Or actually what we're checking is if it's not an end line. If it's not an end line, keep going until we reach the end. If it is an end line, then no, don't keep going, get out of the loop, go into here. So now this will be fixed. So go to debug, start without debugging, and let's see what happens. Now we do have the code running, but we don't have any output. It doesn't tell us what happened to it. So we're gonna have to fix that also. So close it. And before we fix that, let's just put an end line right around here. Cout end line. I just like that because it's gonna do start without debugging, and it's gonna put a space between these two and a space between these two, so we can differentiate between them. So this is the space that's gonna be. Okay, close it. Alright, now we're gonna need to display an output for all the errors that we have. For that, we're gonna have to create another function, just a really simple function, not a hard one. The function, we can go all the way to the bottom, right in here at the bottom, and make the function. So it's a void function, and we're gonna call it display errors. We can call that, and open close parenthesis, then open close bracket. Now, what do we need to do with this function? We need to number the counters. We need to also display the error. How do we display the error? We need to do an if or a switch loop. I'm going to do a switch loop because it's easier and smarter. So switch. Now what do we need to check? We need to check the errors. So we need to pass error type. This is the first thing we're going to need to have. So to pass that, we're going to go to the parentheses and type of error type. But now we need to think about this. Do we need to pass it back? No, because we're not making one. We're just going through it and telling the user what is it. So we don't need to pass it back now. So open and close these brackets. And now do case it is insertion. If it is insertion, then do cout insertion error, like that, and put an end line right like this, and at the end do or insertion counter ++. But do we have insertion counter? No, we don't. It's gonna tell us identifier error. So we need to put a comma, then do integer ins counter, and that's it. But we need to pass back the counters because we're gonna display them also. Either that, or you can display them after each one of them, but you don't want to do that. You want to display it at the end, all the way at the end. So to do that, just do an and sign right here, and we're gonna pass it back to another function that will take care of that. So now we need to do a break. So break, always don't forget that. So now case deletion and cout deletion error, and end line, and then you do deletion counter plus plus and a break. Now we're gonna have an issue with the deletion counter because we don't have it, and then comma int deletion counter. That's it. Now put an end, enter, and then I'm gonna have to put more counters. So the rest of the counters is gonna have to be here. So insertion counter, deletion counter, substitution counter. We're gonna have to do int sub counter, then transposition counter. It's an integer also. Tran counter, deletion, insertion, substitution, transposition, error counter. It's also an integer. Error counter, and the last one is an integer. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to put an and sign right by them, and there's need to be a comma right here. Okay, and sign, and then the last one is gonna be insertion, deletion, substitution, transposition, normal error, and let's see, what else do we have in there? Correct word. We checked all the errors except the correct word, so we need to put that in there. Where's the function? Here it is. We can put an enter right here, and integer, and sign, and correct word counter. There it is. Now we have all of them passed in here, so we can just copy this, copy, paste, paste, and let's check for insertion, deletion, and substitution. That's not spelled correctly. Substitution. There we go. And in here, we're gonna go substitution error, and in here sub counter, and then the rest goes on the same way. Transposition right here, and it's just tran counter. Then the next one is going to be error, and I'm not going to do the error one, I'm going to do correct, and I'll tell you why in a second. Correct and core. Now let's see how many errors do we have. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we need to have one more other than the error counter. What is there? Deletion, insertion, transposition, insertion, deletion, transposition, substitution, a correct word, and there's one more. The one more is an error. Instead of doing the error, we can do default, and for the default, cout the word is badly misspelled. There you go, and line, and do error counter plus plus. Instead of doing checking for errors, we do the default. If it's none of these, it's gonna have to be an error. So that's one way to do it. And after you finish with that, just copy the header like that. Right click, copy, go all the way up, and paste it right here. Put a semicolon at the end, and then we're gonna have to go back to main right in here under find errors. We're gonna have to do display errors, and then pass everything inside it. But let's see, what do we have to do for this one? We just have to pass everything in here. error type, and to see that, to make your life easier, here it is, type of error, error type. Then the next thing, after you put a comma, see that right here, after you put a comma, it will bold this for you. So int counter, comma, deletion counter, which is right here, comma, tran counter, comma, enter. I'm gonna put it right here so you can see it better. After transposition counter, there needs to be okay, there's another counter there. Error counter, or actually we have already passed that. Correct word counter. There seems to be an error with this. I'm not sure if I passed it correctly. Let's go back to it and see what did we not pass correctly. Transposition, there's error counter twice, or actually no, this is right. Error counter, comma. There's how it should be. Now it's all correct. It seems to still have an error. Let me paste that and see it better. Here it is, error type, insertion right here, deletion right there, transposition right there. There's the error. There's a sub counter right here, then comma, enter. Let's put this right there, and let's drag the rest of it back. Okay, I apologize for that. It's just a lot of things to pass into it, and I want to make sure I cover it and put it in a way that you can see it clearly, but it just messed me up a little bit on this. So you can just look at this. Error type first, insertion counter, deletion counter, sub counter, tran counter, error counter, and correct word counter. After that, it will display the errors for us. So let's test that out. Debug, start without debugging, and let's see what happens. And here it is. You can see that there are the errors, like the word is badly misspelled. This one, HELLOO, it's supposed to be an insertion error. So let's see what happened here. It's probably how we passed it. Let's see that. Insertion counter. Actually, this insertion counter is correctly put right in here. The error right here is going to be right inside the insertion, and because we didn't pass an and sign, it's just a simple mistake. We put the and sign right here, go all the way up, and change the insertion header right here. There's an and sign also, and we can look at it from here. And sign, and sign, and sign, and sign, and sign. These are correct. For this deletion counter, we didn't put an and sign, it seems like. We need to go back and fix that. For this, this is display errors, and it's going to be all the way down. Here it is, deletion counter, and sign. And these kind of mistakes happen. I didn't do this on purpose, but I forgot about it. I apologize for that. But these kind of mistakes happen, and I'm going to try to make a tutorial on just kind of mistakes, so I can show you what you need to look for when you have an issue like that. So let's go ahead and compile it. Debug, start without debugging. Alright, make it bigger. Let's go see it. Now, insertion error, deletion, transposition, substitution, correct word, and so on for the rest of them to put the errors. Now, we need to put an end of line right in here, another one, because we need to just make sure that it looks nice. So let's go and close it and go to display errors right in the bottom. Put 2 end lines instead of 1. This is just for looks wise. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. I'm just gonna copy this, put it right in here, right in each one of them. This is good for differentiating between what the errors are. So let's go ahead and debug, start with debugging. And this one just looks much nicer because you can see the errors, then space between it, and see the next word. Now close it. Let's go back up and see what else do we need. Now we've done everything. We've checked the errors. Let's go back to the Word file. The Word file suggests that we display the counters, and we didn't display the counters. So we do need to display the counters. To display the counters, there is 2 ways that you can do it. You can either do it by a function or just do it by doing it on the main. I'm going to do it on main just to make things simple, and you can do it on your own inside a function. So right in here, put double enters, or actually not right here. We're inside the loop now. We need to get out of the loop right here before the system pause, and here's where you put it. So cout, and you would do deletion words, and you would display deletion counter and end line, and so on with the rest of them. So I'm gonna copy this and gonna put, there's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how many we need. We can take out the cout like that, and we can just put 1 semicolon for all of them. We can just take all these off right here, and now it's only 1 semicolon and 1 cout. And let's change these to be insertion, and in here ins. For this one it's going to be substitution, there we go. And here sub counter, and then the next one is going to be transposition, and transposition counter is going to be tran. In here it's going to be correct words, and the correct counter, core counter. And for this one is going to be we're going to say very misspelled words, and just display the error counter right here, and that's it. So let's go ahead and run the program and see what happens. But before that, yep, that would be enough. Let's go project, or actually debug, start out debugging. Let's see how it displays it. There it is. It displays 4 deletion words, 4 insertion words, 5 substitution words, 4 transposition words, 2 correct words, and 3 user misspelled words, and very misspelled words, I apologize. This is correct because I've tested it out before I add this code. The correct word displays it before anything else, and your name. And let's go ahead and close it. Now let me put just a summary, and I'm gonna zoom out to 120 so you can see what the summarization of it. Just normal things. The libraries right in here, let me comment that out. Libraries, and in here there is enum. We're using enum to check the errors. Prototypes right here. There is main opening a normal file. We have the variables. We display that it's by us. We get the correct word. We tell them that this is the correct word. We check for a space finder, and if it is not the end of the line, so if it is not here, it's not the end of the line, then keep getting user words, which is here. Keep getting user word. Keep checking. This is the user word. Check the user word. Display the error, or not display the errors, but rather check the errors. I should have changed this function. You can change the name, but it doesn't matter. It's just displaying. It's actually displaying the errors, and then another function. This is actually finding the errors, and this one we don't need to rename it. Actually, this displays the error. This shows us what the error is, and then we get another space to check if it's a space or it's an end line. If it is not, we get a new user word. If it is, then we get a new correct word, and then we go on to do the same thing. At the end, you have to keep this end line right in here, and the reason for that is because at the end we check for an end line right in here. There's an end line, so we get out. We get a new word. The new word right here is right here. We get it, then we check. If it's not there, it's gonna do some errors, and we don't want to have that, so just keep it this way. The end of it is giving us the counters which we passed to the function right in here, display errors. It counts, and then after it will display it, and then just do system pause. Every function right in here I will comment it out, and it's commented which was correct word and wrong word, and which each condition does. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you'd like, and I hope I helped you out with this machine problem. It took me 2 weeks to do this machine problem. It was very difficult to do. You have to think logically and write it on a paper, and that's what I did. So if you have any questions, go ahead and go to our website indiedevelopment.co, or visit my on my YouTube channel. You can ask questions, and I appreciate the help. And if you have any questions at all, just go ahead and ask. I would like to help you as much as possible. And thanks for watching.